Hello and welcome to Opinions Plus. Today, there's no good message to be had anymore. Uh, if people want a decent society, they're going to have to work for it. The latest lie and debauchery of Christian values, social values, just basic honesty is that debacle in Detroit, where the Trump campaign, said they were there for uh, in a black church to support the black community. Obviously, not many blacks there. The Byron Donalds of Florida came up to show his support for Trump for whatever bloody reason, and there you are. Maybe a few spatterings. The chicken fillet girl from Georgia was there apparently, wrapping her arms around him and doing all the things that paid personnel do. They promote the agenda that they're paid to promote. Um, that's cynical, yes, but it seems to be true. There's no value there. Trump shows no value. Trump shows no character, as I've said many times before. But this clip is more on the recipients of the lies. They are constantly accepting everything that this man does without any attempt at even rationalizing it. It's just that God brought him down to serve this country in this weird, pathetic way, posting that disrespectful, blasphemous picture of Christ, arms, hands on Trump's shoulders, and Trump tenderly touching the hand. Just a manipulation of emotion. But why do people believe this? There's no reason to believe it. Even as I just heard this minister, one of his chief evangelical advisors, when he was in his 20s, supposedly abused and technically raped a 12-year-old. He had since repented, so now he's good to go, as it's known that pedophiles do change their colors. I don't know about this man. I don't know anything about it. But there's evil surrounding this whole issue, this whole group of Trumpian despots. They want power and they'll do anything to get it. They'll ignore every traditional value and sacredness, and apparently the leaders of the churches, the leaders in the politics, just go ahead and accept it. There were, reports from the quote New York Times about this stuff, and they, dilly-dally around it. They don't speak the truth. They don't say it for what it is. They manipulate it. So whether it's the left media, as they love to say, or whatever, it's still tainted by corporate desires and greed. Where does that come from? Where does that come from? And how do you deal with it? My premise today, and has always been, stop listening to the lies that this man, stop legitimizing these statements just because this clown stands up there and says something. You don't legitimize statements about electric boats, and his MIT connections and all this stuff. You don't legitimize that by giving it credibility. You say what it is. It's stupid and insane, and just leave it at that and be done with it. But they don't do that. They give it more momentum. They debate it. I heard this woman today, a so-called right-leaning woman, young, attractive, saying that don't believe women. Women are stupid. Women are stupid. They shouldn't be in leadership. Their husband should tell them exactly what to do, and that is God's blessing. I have 3 daughters. I don't want them to live a life like that. That's where domestic violence and other things, because power corrupts and people are weak. Men are weak, women are weak, people are weak. It has nothing to do with sex. It has to do with their inner self. So stop. Well, I'm talking to the people who live this delusion that this man has some value. He doesn't have any value. If you want to change, if you want to have change in a system, and I just saw another clip or listened to another clip about, the pending civil war, and I've stated it before. There will be violence, yes there will, because people want violence. They can't tolerate peace. There's an evil influence around. What do you want to call it? You want to call it Satan? You want to call it just evil? You want to call it the natural man? What do you want to call it? Well, call it something and deal with it, because it's there and it's real. There's things influencing people to degrade, and I don't support every aspect of this government. I worked for the federal government. I served in the military. I know that there are good and bad people, but the majority of people are good. The minority is the problem, not the majority. Stop vilifying people. Not all immigrants are bad. Not all immigrants from are nut houses. Stop listening to that rhetoric. Why? Because it's not true. Are they, will they circumvent the law to get into the United States? Sure, some of them will. You would do the same thing if you were out there. Oh no, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I drive a 35 mile an hour in a 35 mile zone all my life. That's it. I do nothing wrong. I don't lie, I don't cheat, I don't steal, I don't do anything. I'm perfect. I'm next to God. Don't be delusional. Fight against this. These people who are listening to this, you can believe that there's a problem in the United States. Of course you can. That's why you have a democracy. But you're not just right because you think you're right. It doesn't work that way. But to some people it does. And that's what happens in war. That's what happens with violence. You take a violent act and people react against it. We don't want violent acts. And the rhetoric it is, bloodbath. Well, we don't mean real blood. Oh, no. What do we mean is fake blood? It's Hollywood. It's all rhetorical until it isn't. Naivete is beyond description. There's something else at work. I can't, as a person raised in Christianity, there are evil influences. There are beliefs, but people don't talk about it. These diehard people don't talk about it. I don't understand why. I don't know why the leadership in the church communities, the true leadership, not just the nut pastor somewhere standing up on a pulpit screaming out something, but true leadership is not directing the values and just stating simple things like obey the law. You may disagree with the law, but you have a obligation as a citizen to obey it as best you can. I did a clip one long time ago, and when military people disobey orders. Well, if they're not righteous, if they're not moral, well, who makes that determination? You do. And you'll pay a consequence if you're on the wrong side. So part of the you do make determination of moral accountability. There's also a civil accountability. Give unto Caesar what's Caesar's, and what to God what's God's. Don't be deceived, please. Many who listen to this, what I've seen in the comments, many people do understand this. They are not deceived. They strive to understand. But when people use the cover of the church, people get confused. They want to have something for whatever reason. And there's a weakness, there's a vacancy, there's a tenderness, whatever it is. And if you are a Christian, you do believe in Satan, supposedly, and that Satan is working on you, but you don't believe that, do you? No. Everybody's clean. As one Armenian person told me one time, my forehead's clean. No guilt here. I'm pure. I'm innocent. I have no concerns because I do what is right. And maybe in their mind and heart, that's what it is. Paul, who persecuted so many of the young budding Christians, was doing it as a zealot, a Jewish zealot. He was killing people. Why? Because he was told to. And he thought he was doing right. It happens. Fight against it. Go to the good. Keep hope alive. I used to say people know what is good, and I generally believe that. But it's confusing somehow. In this maniac world of so much intel and so much information, people don't really understand what good is. So I don't think there's going to be there's going to be war. There's going to be a violent outlet. There's so many guns and ammo and whatnot out there. You're going to have conflict. There's no doubt about it. But how far, where it goes, who stands up, who leads the charge, who's going to give their life for what? They don't even know what yet. They don't even have a platform. They don't even have a program. All they do is hate. They hate the government. They hate the federal system, the finance things, all these other things that go crazy. And there's greed. My gosh, there's no naivete here. There's greed everywhere. Nobody's forehead is clean. Nobody's. Some are just dirtier than others. But we have to strive and wash it off as best we can to give ourselves the benefit. And if you do believe in an afterlife, you have to try to do what is good. Try to do what is good. Not just take a life, not just beat somebody up, not just yell and be a buffoon up there on the stand and jiggle and gyrate around and get people to giggle at you. But do what is right. Let the consequence follow, yes. But be aware what those consequences are. Let us go and make this fabric, this community, a better place. Not a worse place, not a bad place, not a negative place. Open your hearts, people. Open your hearts. And if you believe in the light of Christ, let it in. I'm not perfect. I never said I was. I have a lot of things I have to deal with. And, I don't use myself as some illustration, but I'm not a leader in a religious group. I'm not a leader. I'm just an opinionated person. And I give my opinions. And if you like what you hear, subscribe. If you don't, well, try it out. Make a comment. Relate your ideas. Put it out there. But go to the positive. Go to the good. Good is positive. It's not negative. The outcomes are good. Positive. Growth. The crops come in. They're not withering away on the vine. They come in. That's where you want. You may not get it, but that's what you want. Thanks. Take care. Have the best day you can. Keep hope alive. Go to the good. Character matters. And just because somebody rents out a church doesn't mean it's based on Christian ideals. Thanks for listening.